Primates are also born mostly able to walk and do things very quickly, whereas Homo sapiens are not able to do that.
Can't do that. Now, the other thing is the psychological part of this, and it kind of goes to what Jen was saying earlier on here. It's like you want a guy who can be dominant. You want a guy who can kick ass. You want a guy, what do we say, has slit throats and change diapers, right?
Yeah.
That was the whole thing.
Kiss babies and slit throats.
So when women get really irate at this, but this is via the big head babies theory here. It's like via evolution is that because women are the vulnerable sex, because throughout our evolutionary history, in our ancestral past, women had to spend at least 9 months gestating a child. She was helpless. She could be killed by pretty much damn near anything, right? So they needed men to protect them. That's why a dominant man who has musculature, who is tall, who has a broad shoulders, a six-pack abs, who has a capacity for violence, was the one that was naturally selected, because that was the guy he was the protector who could protect the vulnerable and very fragile female and the baby, who required lots and lots of attention because we invest in our offspring. Women have the higher reproductive cost. So what happens as a result of that, for women's mentality, women's psyches, men's psyches, there is this natural hierarchy that's already there, looking for a guy who has competence, can like I said, slit throats and change diapers. Looking for a guy that, like when we ask, well, how come, why do I like the bad boys? This is why you like the bad boys, because those were the guys in your evolutionary past who could protect the vulnerable children and the fragile children and the vulnerable females as a result. So what happens is there is a natural hierarchy there. So women are looking up, or they want to get with a guy that they can respect, but also admire, that they can look up to that. So there's this natural dominance hierarchy amongst men, women, and then children. We apply this in our religion. We apply this in our societies and our tribalism up to the national level. So what we do as a result of our babies needing to be taken care of for a very long time, because we have very large heads, we rely on our own intellect and intelligence more than anything else. As a result of that, it requires men to be the protectors, men to have a capacity for violence, and for men to actually be deferred to by the vulnerable women. That's what we're fighting against right now. We're still the same animals and the same critters that we were on the sub-Saharan African savannah from 100, 200,000 years ago.
That's where humans came from, Nick.
So does that
living in medieval societies, and living in basically what we have now, which is almost really primitive, but with technology that is godlike technology right now. That's what's fucking things up. You want to know why our boys are like not men? You want to know why we're wondering whether we're a boy or a girl? You want to know why guys seem more isolated, or that the internet is a big introversion rather than extroversion? It's because we're still the same critters we used to be. We live in these antiquated societies and these organizations and these cities and everything else that but we're also dealing with this computer and broadcasting to the entire world right now with godlike technology. So trying to catch up and stay along with that. But we're still wondering why we like the bad boys. You like the bad boys because the bad boys are who took care of business on the fucking Sahara.
So does that
sub-Saharan African continent.
Do you take women off the hook now for choosing quote unquote the bad boy, or being more attracted to the bad boy?
It is what it is. That's exactly what it is.
I agree. I don't think there is a hook to take them off. I think, like you said, this whole thing it's amoral. It's not immoral. It's
not bad or good. It just is.
It just fucking is. And guys, people watching this, need to fucking get with the program, because actually one of the problems is, as Michael was saying earlier, we're now at this evolved state where we don't really need to be high T. We don't really need, in order to be effective in the world. But guess what? Women's sexual strategy hasn't caught up with that yet. Women are still attracted subconsciously to that fucking alpha bad boy, chab, however you want to describe it, right? But unfortunately, guys are becoming more and more pussified, right? And if you want to do some damage in the dating world, metaphorically, of course, then you need to get in touch with that edge. You need to have some of that masculinity and bring it back into your interactions. Otherwise, you're going to get fucking steamrolled out there. I'm sorry, but that's just how it is.
And that should also say, that goes back to her point here too. It's like when she gets the ick after 6 months or something. Oh, yeah, because of that familiarity. Now suddenly you're a family member, and you're not the hot guy that you want to fuck anymore.
Probably the guy. I'm just speculating here. Probably the guy became a bit of a pussy, and he probably became a bit of a pusher. I was like, oh my god, you're so beautiful, blah blah blah. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm not fucking feeling this anymore.
Or it was probably the roommate syndrome.